I want to make this super clear from the get-go. This is not the map call, and you do not need to watch this video to join the project. I just decided that I want to show off this concept a little bit before I post the call. I don't know if anyone has ever done this before. Usually people would just post the map call, but I thought that since I'm not making any money off of the map itself, I might as well make a video about the concept so I can buy more watermelons. The project is going to feature Scourge, and the song is going to be Not a Loser from SpongeBob the Musical. It is going to be a high-effort spoof map with 40 parts. The map will have a 1-week deadline, a loose script, and set character designs for 3 of the characters. Applying for a part is going to happen through Google Forms. I have been wanting to make a map with a song from SpongeBob the Musical ever since I first saw a bootleg of the show, so I think it's been about 4 years, more or less, since I had this idea. I never ended up making it because I had other projects that I was focusing on, but right now it's been half a year since I hosted a Warriors map, so I thought that now would be a good time. I initially thought about just making Not a Loser myself as an AMV, but I feel like I would never ever have enough funny ideas to fill this entire song. But when I bring in, let's say, 40 people, suddenly everyone's got their totally different ideas and it's complete chaos, which I think tends to result in hilarity. As I mentioned before, I wanted this map to be a high-effort spoof map. High effort here basically just means that this is not going to be a shitpost map. You don't have to do shading if you don't want, the animation doesn't need to be a lot, full lip sync isn't required, you do not need to create a masterpiece within 1 week, and I am not expecting that from anyone. Although, looking back at my earlier maps, I'm pretty sure someone will do that anyways, against all odds. I am expecting the participants to draw their own backgrounds and make some amount of animation. So this is a little bit like Legs or Crush Song or Notice Me Senpai. This map is going to have 40 parts, one of which is reserved for me, but I haven't decided which one yet, so I mean, we'll see about that. Now that's quite a lot of parts. I'm not sure if I've ever had this many parts in just one map, but I wanted to keep the parts relatively short because of the 1-week deadline and also just to allow more people to join. The parts vary in length, the longest being 11 seconds long and the shortest being only 4.5. The average length is maybe a little less than 7 seconds. The map will have a loose script. By loose, I mean that people are totally allowed to add their own ridiculousness or go absolutely crazy, as long as whatever they add doesn't get me banished from YouTube. At the start of the map, Scourge, or I guess technically Tiny at this point, but I'm going to call him Scourge throughout this for simplicity's sake, has taken shelter in a beaten down cardboard box and sings sadly while the rain falls. His life is pretty sad and he has nowhere to go, and he is in denial about this. Once it stops raining, he goes walking in the alleyways, he sees some other cats but no one pays attention to him or his singing. He sings, "I'm not all alone," and thinking that I am not all alone. And then realizes that indeed he is all alone. He begins to cry. But that's when the other cats in the alleys appear to reassure him that no, he is not alone. Scourge is weirded out at first, but soon begins to believe in himself and sings along. He forms his very own clan, Blood Clan, out of his many, many fans. Why do the other cats like him so much? I don't know. The scaring away a dog scene does not exist in this map. They just decided that he's very cool for some reason. Now, this is the section in which the script is the loosest. This should be just a compilation of Scourge having a generally good time, being the leader of Blood Clan. This is a long instrumental part, and I encourage anyone who gets one of these parts to just go wild. Do whatever you want. Let Scourge be happy. After that section, the Blood Clan cats invade the forest with Tiger Star. The clan cats are obviously horrified. Oh, and Tiger Star is just part of the chorus here. He also thinks Scourge is really cool for some reason. But that does not last long, since Tiger Star just has got to steal the show somehow by doing an amazing vocal riff, which pisses Scourge off to the point of killing him on impulse. The clan cats are shocked by this, but the song goes on. This irritates the clan cats, and finally, Firestar has had enough and murders Scourge. But it doesn't end there. Scourge never joined StarClan or the Dark Forest, so he wakes up in this empty darkness after his death. All by himself. He realizes that he's alone again. And that's the end. Okay, I know that kind of took a turn. Yeah, that's the script. That may have seemed like a lot, but I assure you that there's still lots and lots of room for people to add their own things if they want. I have been showing you some map cards here. If the participants would like to use the map cards as color references, then that is fine, but they don't have to. There won't be any actual background references. Speaking of references, here's our main character, Scourge. He starts off with this first design and then shifts into the second design at part 17, which is when he begins to sing along with the cat chorus. Both of these designs are quite simple, which is intentional, because I don't want to give people horribly complex designs to animate for a 1-week map. I have tried to reduce the detail on him to a minimum. For example, I originally drew the insides of his ear, but I would have either had to add another color into this design or have made the ears white on the inside, which I found took away attention from his face. So in the end, I just drew him like this. If any participant would still like to draw the inside of his ear, then that's fine with me. Obviously, you do not need to follow the designs perfectly. You can still use your own style. If you think you can handle adding more detail, then that's up to you. But don't overwork yourself, okay? As for Tiger Star, I made him extra fluffy. The reason for this is that when he is going to be a part of the chorus towards the end, I would like him to stand out a little, and what better way to make a character stand out than just make them really, really big? Yeah. I tried to minimize the amount of detail here for aforementioned reasons, but I felt like I had to include the lighter parts of his fur because otherwise he just looked a little too much like Broken Star. And then the last design I made is one for Firestar. This one is really simple. I usually like giving Firestar some stripes, but this time I decided that he is recognizable enough without them and I just don't want to give the animators any more work. The chorus cats, so the Blood Clan cats, do not have set designs. You may have noticed in the map cards that I haven't given all of them colors, like people would usually draw Blood Clan cats. Well, canonically, not all of them have colors. Usually I still give those to all of them to make them stand out from the forest cats, but in this map the forest cats don't really have that big of a role, and you should be able to recognize the Blood Clan cats from just the fact that they're singing all the time. As I haven't given them set designs, that means that participants can decide the designs to be as complex or as simple as they want. Perhaps I haven't scared you away yet, and you would like to join and are curious about when the map call is going to be up. Who knows? I have a pretty busy month ahead of me. I have a course that I need to finish this month that I haven't even started because I've been studying my other courses. Resident Evil Village is coming out soon. That'll probably also occupy me for a bit. I'm also trying to work on the YouTube videos that actually give me money, which I need for my rose petal green tea. I just want to make sure that when the time comes, I'll have time to go through however many applications there will be. But what I can tell you is that once the call does come out, you won't be in any hurry to ask for a part, because for as long as I'm going through the applications, I won't be giving out any parts. And usually, that takes some time. When I eventually do open the map call though, there's just one last thing I would like everybody, even the heathens who do not read the rules on the maps, to know. I'm going to need everyone who applies through the forums to also make a comment on the map call, and that is because I have gotten an increasing amount of imposters trying to apply to my maps, and I need a way to verify that the people applying are actually who they say they are. If you apply through the forums but don't comment on the map call video, you won't get a part. Cool? Cool. I have no idea how to end this video. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss this project.